Air Strafing. Air Strafing, often referred to as simply strafing, is one of the core movement mechanics in Counter-Strike. Air Strafing allows you to fully control your movement mid-air while gaining speed in the process. In fact, it is actually impossible to turn your character mid-air without utilizing some form of strafing. To Air Strafe, synchronize your mouse movement with your keyboard movement. For example, to strafe left, hold the A key on your keyboard and move your mouse towards the left. To strafe right, hold the D key and move your mouse towards the right. It is vital to let go of the W key while strafing. If done properly, you should turn while mid-air to your strafe direction while gaining some speed. Also, it is wise not to strafe while ducked as your max turn speed decreases when holding duck. Your keyboard strafe key should be held down for the entire duration of the strafe. However, how far you turn while strafing is controlled by your mouse movement. The more you move your mouse in one direction while holding the proper strafe key, the more you will turn. Strafing is the foundation of another important KZ element, long jumps. Since strafing increases your speed while mid-air, that equates to an overall farther jump distance. However, a single strafe takes you to another direction that is often unintended in a long jump. This is remedied by strafing back and forth in opposite directions to counteract the unintended direction while gaining even more speed with each strafe. To perform a basic long jump, run forward until you reach a velocity of 250 units per second. This is the maximum velocity for running. Next, release your W key, jump, and start holding your D key while smoothly sliding your mouse a little towards the right. Halfway through the jump, release the D key and start holding the A key while moving your mouse a little towards the left. This is a long jump with 2 strafes, and the jump distance is greater if done correctly. There are many factors that influence the distance of a long jump. The most important is your sync percentage. Your sync percentage is how well you synchronize the timing of your keyboard presses and the movement of your mouse. The better your sync is when jumping, the farther and more precise your jumps will be. Another factor is the number of strafes. You're probably wondering if more strafes equate to a better jump. Well, the answer is yes and no. More strafes can equate to a farther long jump, but only if your sync percentage is consistently high throughout the jump. A third factor that can influence the distance of your long jumps is the angle of your strafes. Strafing too wide can cause you to lose distance as you aren't going enough in the right direction. Strafing too little can also be a problem as you don't gain enough speed per strafe. It is recommended to experiment and to find a good sweet spot or angle that works for you and your number of strafes. Crouching before landing also helps to improve your distance in long jumping. It increases your height and gives you a bit more air time, resulting in a greater distance. To perform an even farther jump, the KZ Timer plugin implements a mechanic called Pre-Strafe. Pre-strafing is a running technique performed before a jump that allows you to move beyond 250 units per second velocity. This is a simple pre-strafe. For this demonstration, you will be looking left and pre-strafing to the right. Press D and W while slowly moving your mouse to the right. If you do this correctly, you'll notice that your velocity exceeds 250 units per second. The idea is to reach 276 units per second, as this is the maximum pre-strafe velocity right before you perform the jump. Before finally jumping, release your W key, start to merge your pre-strafe direction key into an air strafe. The smoother the transition, the better the pre-strafe. Let's talk about crouch jumps for a second, as they do apply to long jumping. As you can guess, crouching after jumping will yield the player more height. A crouch jump is when a player hits duck, jump, duck in a sequence to gain 1.1 additional units of height. This is useful for getting onto higher surfaces. It's also useful for performing better long jumps, as the extra height can equate to more distance. You might think that hitting duck, jump, duck before a long jump would be very cumbersome. Fortunately, there's a bind that does this for you. Type this in console. The crouch bind automates the process of tapping duck before jumping for you. It not only does that, but it also releases W for you. Now think, in what situation could gaining more height and having W released for you make a certain jump easier? Long jumping. The crouch bind being utilized in long jumping has long been a controversial topic in CSGO KZ as it makes LJing quite easier. The reason it makes long jumping so much easier is the automated release of W. Before the crouch bind existed, players were forced to learn the timing of releasing W before jumping in their long jumps. The bind makes this process consistent without effort. It usually leads to you being able to long jump 3 to 4 units farther than without the bind. As minuscule as that sounds, it's actually a big deal. Consider how key the extra height is for high jumps. Please do not rely on the crouch bind while learning how to long jump, as it will force you into bad timing habits. Some maps are starting to require no binded long jumps, and it will make you a better player if you learn to perform long jumps without the bind. Credits towards the creation of the crouch bind goes to Doc Mad, UdNeedAMiracle, and Logos. You now have a good understanding of the mechanics of air strafing. If you'd like a more in-depth technical understanding of air strafing, please refer to UdNeedAMiracle's Advanced Strafing Guide linked in the description.